May's going to school. Haven't seen the kids in 3 weeks, so nice to be home.
Let's get ready to win! Our very first angler from Erie, PA. $2 million in FLW Tour winnings. Let me hear it for Dave Lefebre. Dave Lefebre, sitting in 9th place right now and has a load, has 44.9 going into today. 5 fish today, 23 pounds and 3 ounces.
Hey, I'm Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Dave Lefebre, and I wanted to give you a quick recap after the final tournament for the Bassmaster season. It was up on Mille Lacs in Minnesota. One of the greatest places to fish. I mean, it's almost as good as my front yard, maybe better. But I wanted to give you a little look at what I was doing, which is pretty involved, not too complicated. I mean, I only had 3 or 4 rods out each day, but I wanted to give you a little look at that. First, I wanted to congratulate the G-Man. That was pretty cool, winning Angler of the Year. Who doesn't want to see somebody like that get it for the second time? So that does mean he's a legend now. And I also wanted to thank him for, after the first day, after he weighed in, the next morning when we were getting ready to take off, he actually offered to give me a spot. So, man, that was awesome. You know, he said there's no fish there, but I'm welcome to it. So that was, you know, it's all about the gesture. So appreciate that. And another thank you for making me weep publicly at Subway. Awesome. I was watching the weigh-in and it was a tad bit emotional. So anyway, let me show you what I was doing. So all the fish that I weighed in were on 2 baits, a 4-inch Senko and a Shadow Rat. I caught 2 on the Shadow Rat, and the reason it's so important because those could have been the ones that made me qualify for the Bassmasters Classic. I mean, I had 2 that were well over 5. I'd say like a 5.8 and a 5.4 or 5.5 on that right there. It's called Elite Blue. I'm still experimenting with colors. I got a few favorites, but this is definitely becoming one of my favorites for smallmouth. That's something about that orange on the belly that just drives them crazy, and it's kind of a pale orange. But the story behind that is I was having trouble catching a couple drop shot fish, and they were really hard to catch. And I just got frustrated after about an hour working on these 2 fish that were sitting by this rock. And I backed off. I put a little buoy marker out, backed off, made a super long cast between these 2 rocks. You know, jerked the jerk bait down as far as I could. When I got it to about the right place, I just let it sink. And as soon as you know, it's kind of choppy out there. So as soon as I would keep pulling it, and the bait kind of sinks real slow, so I'd pull it until I felt rock and I knew I was on the bottom, and then I started working it. I would jerk it a couple times. I was actually kind of jerking it up a little bit and letting it do its thing. And if you know what a Shadow Rat does, you know, when it's falling, right after you jerk it, it does this little shiver thing. And I know what it's doing down there. And not going to say I was amazed, but it was pretty cool. It's a different way to fish a jerkbait, you know, for those 2 sight fish, and I caught both of them on this bait. So that was amazing. They were hitting it when it was sitting still. I would jerk it, and I knew it was doing that shiver thing, and I just let it sit there, and they'd tick the line. So only 2, but 2 giants. I guess I'll go over the tackle real quick. This is a 610 medium Muse rod. One of the rods that we've been working on with 13 for a long time, and just absolutely love this rod. It's the perfect jerkbait rod. This is a Concept E reel, 7.3-1. I use high speed for everything, but that was pretty much the deal. 8-pound test, so using a Suffix Invisalign fluorocarbon. For the smallmouth, you know, I had three rods most of the time. But basically, I was only using 2 different drop shot deals, and the first one is a reaction, you know, for either later in the day when they're biting, or just that first drop on each fish. You know, just trying to get that first initial reaction bite. And for this, you know, I use a typical standard, you know, 12-inch leader as far as from the hook to the weight goes. On the line leader, I'm using 15 foot. You know, if you can see, my knot is inside the reel. There it is right there. I use a long leader. My leader is 6-pound test Invisalign fluorocarbon. My main line is the new Nano Braid by Suffix. It's not, don't confuse it. A lot of guys confuse it with Nano Fill. This is totally different. It's the best line. I promise you, you'll go crazy once you try this. I'm using 6 and 8-pound test on this one. On my drop shots, I'm using 8-pound as my main line. So check that out. It's called Aqua Camo. And the equipment, this is a Creed. You know, everybody's been wondering when 13 Fishing was going to come out with a spinning reel. Well, it's finally here. Several models of the Creed. This is a GT. And when somebody holds this reel for the first time, you know, the first thing they think is, you know, yeah, that's nice, but how much is it going to cost? And when I say, how much do you think it's going to cost? A lot of people say $300 or $400. This bad boy is 80 bucks. So unbelievable. Just a really good looking, and after this week, I would say a really good performing reel. I absolutely love it, and the price point obviously couldn't be better. So that's what I was using this week. This is, like I said, my quick drop. You know, this is a 3/8 weight, even when it's calm. You know, I never made a cast all week. I was dropping straight down on every single fish, and I just wanted to get that initial bite, you know, down to the bottom as fast as you could. I would even, on this particular one, instead of wacky rigging it, if I felt like I needed to get down a lot quicker, which I did quite often. Matter of fact, probably 70% of the time I just had it nose hooked. I mean, it's all about the reaction on this one. Drop it down there 100 miles an hour. I'm in 15 to 17 feet, so it only takes a second. Jiggle it a couple times. If they don't bite it, pull it up, and then go into what I was doing next. So that's a tungsten VMC cylinder weight. On this one, I was using a number 2 Gamakatsu with a little flash, a gold hook. And on my other drop shot, you'll see the leader from the hook to the weight is a lot longer. This is 2 feet, almost 2 feet, 20 inches. And a smaller weight. I'm using a round weight. It's a VMC tungsten, but it's so light. It's a 3/16, so I want you know, more contact with the bottom, which is why I use the round one for this. And it's so light, I'm really not getting hung up as much, but I can feel the 3/8 round better than I can feel the cylinder in the same weight. So same line and same main line. One difference is the hook. This is a number 4 split shot drop shot hook. So it's a you know, a lot smaller than I guarantee you anybody was using. But you know, I didn't lose a single fish. I probably caught 60 fish over the 3.5 to 4 pound range in the 3 days. Never lost one single fish, and that's pretty rare. So I was having to finesse those ones that I could mark. A lot of times it was in the morning, they were tough to catch. The first morning I caught 20 pounds and 5 fish and 5 drops right off the bat. And but after that, you know, it got tough. And when it was tough, this is what I did. Super long leader. I would drop it on those fish that I saw, you know, try everything in the book. But mainly what ended up happening was I would drop that get right up over top of that fish, drop it on them, and let this thing sink all the way to the bottom. So I was pretty much visualizing this Senko sitting right on the bottom next to the weight, and I would lift it and then let it, you know, flutter back down. You know how they shake when they sink, and keep doing that. I would also back off of the fish. I would leave my weight on the bottom so I knew the fish was still there, and I'd ease off, almost like you're sight fishing, bed fishing, and ease back a little bit, and you know, just leave it slack and maybe jiggle it a little bit and see if they'd pick it up. Then I would ease forward again if I didn't get bit, just to make sure the fish was still sitting there, and then I'd back off again. So some of the fish took, you know, 10 to 15 minutes to catch. But when it's tough like that, and it sounds funny on Mille Lacs saying it was tough, but trust me, it really was. It wasn't easy. You know, the tiny little hook makes a difference, the long leader makes a difference, and changing colors makes a difference. You know, on the other one you saw, I had a green pumpkin blue flake, and on the last day, you know, it was tough out there. It was a struggle to catch what I caught. I only had 17 pounds at noon, so it was just grinding out and catching one at a time. And when I'd mark those big fish, I knew I had 3 different rocks that I was fishing, and I knew when I caught one on one of those 3 rocks, they were going to be, it was a giant. When I marked one, it was big, so I really worked hard to catch them. And changing flakes was super important. You know, I'd change from blue flake to red flake to green flake to gold flake. Everything in the book, different variations of greens and browns. And, you know, for some reason, you'd change colors and drop down there after fishing for one for a half hour and it would bite. So that was pretty much the key for me. The other key was not having a backup plan. I had one spot, you know, just a couple miles from the takeoff, and I was dedicated to that place. I wasn't going to leave. I had nowhere else to go, and it gave me a lot of confidence, you know. And I ran around, even in the tournament. You can the people that were following me. Rapala was there in a couple of different boats, and I saw Jimmy Lindner out there, and the guys from 13 were out there too, and quite a few spectator boats. And they would see me catch a couple, then idle with my trolling motor down, looking at what I think is the key for the whole tournament, the structure scan. You know, my Lowrance 3D, which I used for the first time this week, and I cannot believe they didn't tell me how much better it was than the regular structure scan. It's unbelievable. So I had it on 120 feet. Usually I'm set about 40, between 40 and 60, sometimes a little more. But I had it set on 120 feet and could see these boulders way over there. So I would idle, and this is during the tournament, and move my cursor over to that boulder, move my cursor over to this boulder, bam, bam, bam. And I would try to mark 5 or 6 of them, then I would fish them. Then I would mark 5 or 6 more, and then I would fish them. Then I would mark 5 or 6 more, then I would fish those. And that was the deal. And then I would rotate those 3 big rocks that were producing the giants. So anyway, that's about it. Obviously proud to be in a Ranger in rough weather like that. That was great. Mille Lacs, finished 3rd, had 69 pounds and some odd ounces, and most importantly, I'm going back to Conroe, Texas in March for the Bassmasters Classic. So
a brand new leader with 67 pounds and 12 ounces. Digging deep in that Berkeley Havoc weighing bag. Let's hear it for Rapala Pro Dave Lefebre. $67 pounds and 12 ounces. Dave, an incredible day on Championship Sunday. Going to weigh that big bass for Phoenix Boats Big Bass. 5-1 is the biggest one of the day. Not going to take over the overall lead, which is 6-1, but you're leading the whole tournament, and going to be happy with the way this one worked out.
Mille Lacs, I left Presque Isle Bay over there by Erie, Pennsylvania, in Lake Erie, thinking that was the world capital of smallmouth bass fishing, and I have been a changed man. This place is unbelievable. You guys got to send emails to drive these guys nuts. Make sure we come back here, because this is a lot of these guys caught the biggest fish they ever caught in their life. You know, biggest smallmouth, and you know, I didn't get one over 6 this week, but I caught a lot of 5-pounders. My hands are all beat up. What an awesome place. You're gonna hear it over and over. Take care of this place, man. Don't be eating them big giant smallmouth, and don't be eating the big giant walleyes. You know, just come here and just have fun and go catch some eating fish somewhere else. But I just want to say, you know, when you come here, I stayed at McCoyd's this week. It's about 20 minutes from here. Great people. They gave me a really good deal. Stayed there all week. So if you come here, go to McCoyd's. I want to thank Rapala and 13, my 2 title sponsors this year. I caught my biggest fish yesterday on a shadow wrap. The good thing about that bait is it's small. It's a little tiny jerk bait, but it sinks. It almost looks like a Senko when it's going down. And you guys, I don't want to give the secret away what a Senko does when it's sinking, but that jerk bait does the same thing when it's falling, and boy, when they touch it, they're hooked. So I caught my biggest one yesterday, caught a couple key ones yesterday on that. Might have been the ones I needed to make the Classic, but you know what? It was a tough day, and I got them. About 1 o'clock, I started catching them big enough to go back to Conroe. You know I love Conroe. That's my favorite lake in the whole wide world besides Mille Lacs. But we're going back there. And I also want to thank 13 Fishing, my other title sponsor. Two new sponsors I got quickly. I'm the only van in this tournament. I live in a van down by the river. But it's out there if you want to take a look at it. You're going to have to be really quick because as soon as I get off this stage, I'm jumping the fence and running because I got to go home. It's been 4 weeks. I've been away from my kids. And I also want to thank Angler Labs. It's a brand new app. Go to Angler. That's Angler without an E. Angler.tech and check that out. It's an unbelievable, revolutionary. It's going to change the world. Check it out. It's a new app, fishing app that does everything automated, so you don't have to write stuff down. It just does it all for you. But that's about it. I got a bunch of other little sponsors. I want to just thank everybody for this year. It's my first year on the Bassmaster Tours. For some reason, I'm not a rookie this year.
Dude, you won $2 million. How many rookies have won $2 million?
Whatever. They changed the rules on me, but I didn't win it anyway. Drew Benton did a great job. But anyway, it's been an awesome year. I'm glad to be here and looking forward to the Classic.
All right. We'll see you there, rookie.